Well, we're an established bespoke leather interior company. We mainly aim ourselves at the architectural side of the market and interior designers. We do all sorts of projects, installations of walling and flooring. We've become specialised in recent years in the architectural side of handrails and stair treads, etc. And we've established ourselves a good business with Canal Engineering. We've been working with them for nearly 10 years now. We've probably done over 40 very successful projects. Okay, well, we normally start down at Canal's office or down at their new showroom, and we have a design meeting. Canal will then normally produce some drawings for us, so we know the overall meterage and the diameters of the rails, etc. From then on, we normally liaise with Canal, and they liaise with their client direct. We will normally supply them with the leather samples so they can choose which leathers they'd like to select. They might also ask for a stitch sample, so we might produce a small amount of rail for them to choose which type of stitching they want and which cottons to match the leathers, etc. Once all that's been approved and we've been given the go-ahead from Canal to carry on our works, preparation starts. Obviously all the leathers are checked when they come in for quality. We always like to make sure we use the finest leathers and the best quality hides for producing our handrails. We don't want any problems in the future. We then prepare the leather and we cut it out. We prepare it depending on what type of finish the rail is going to have, how it's going to be stitched, etc. This is all done in the workshop prior to our visit to site. Once everything's established and we're ready for site, we go to site. We bring obviously along the personnel we need and the tools and the equipment and the glues, etc. Everything is hand stitched on site. We normally give it a wax finish. We finish our end caps and hand over the job to the client. Okay, well, the most important thing I feel regarding working in leather is obviously to have a good understanding on how the leather works and reacts to different atmospheres and in different situations and different uses of installation. We need to be very methodical with our works. We need to plan. You need to have a good practical experience and just a good basic understanding of the tools of leather and the machinery we use. We have special tools that we do use, but most of our tools are 50 or 60 years old still. They're still the traditional type of craftsman's tools that were made back in time. In fact, it's a good thing if we can find some of these rare tools, because the modern equivalents just aren't as good as the old-fashioned tools are. Yes, of course, most of our work is down to our hands and our knowledge and knowing the right tension to pull the cotton in different situations. But there are some modern techniques these days if you're mass producing sort of laser cutting and ultrasound cutting. But to be honest with you, most of our work is still done on the bench with a ruler and a knife. Well, that's what's amazing these days about leathers really, and how the tanneries have moved forward. And that's why really it's become an interior design option now. Leather's always on the list because of the different techniques in the embossing and the printing of the leathers. You know, we have a massive colour palette now, and basically most of the tanneries now will match any colour if the quantities are right. All the leathers that we use are byproduct from the meat industry. They're pure cowhide and they're embossed and printed. We do a lot of specialist leathers, including sort of stingrays and snake skins, printed crocodile, alligator. A lot of 3D leathers now as well in our panelling. Yeah, so a good variation of different types of leather that's on offer these days. We can do what we call a butt joint, which is basically a seamless joint. It's where we skide both sides of the leather and join them together to make it just a very fine line joint. Personally, I recommend that joints on staircases, architectural work, should be stitched together, just because obviously if it's got a high use of traffic, it's good because it obviously gets rubbed and moved along. We offer a number of different techniques of stitching to the joints. We do the original saddle stitch, which is the single layer stitching, double-sided, stitched through underneath, is our main jointing ways. We also do a cross stitch and a single cross stitch, which can also be used. We tend to do this when we're joining underneath, you know, as a pattern, as an effective, more of the look and finish to the job. But still with the jointing, we do tend to keep with the saddle stitch. And this is something that is going to be exclusive to Canal in the new showroom. We're doing what we call a bandage wrap rail now. And as you can see here, there's two different types to the bandage wrap. A sort of a flat version and a slightly raised version.